Ulavin inyan uzchartem es kol mitzvahs havayas. Now he's going to explain the psukim to fit into the whole idea. Uzchartem, you make them into males, you make them into zochors, the mitzvahs Hashem. What does it mean to make the mitzvahs Hashem into zochor? To make them into mashpim. A yid through his avodah makes the mitzvahs mashpim that they should inspire the person through the sarusa de latati, sarusa de laela, to inspire the third person and to elevate this person. Uzachartem kuloimar. What does it mean to say? Lasis oisom zuchorim. To make them uzachartem and mitzvah Hashem, to make them zuchorim, make them the level of mashpim. Hine mevuar belukutei Torah parshas Bereishis betamim mitzvahs. In the Likutei Torah, in the Parsha Bereishis, in Time Mitzvahs, explains Kibeis Oisies Matz min Mitzvah. Mitzvah has 4 letters: Mem, Tzadik, Vav, and the Hey. So the Vav and the Hey, you see that is Vav K. But the Mem and the Tzadik, there is a system which is called Atbash, which means you switch the Aleph for the Tov, the Beis for the Shin, the Gimel for the Reish, the Dalet for the Kuf, the first or the last one. So if you exchange Mem from the letter Mitzvah is exchanged for a Yud, and Tzadik from the word of the word Mitzvah is changed for a K. So you end up having Yud K Vav K. That's the Mitzvah. Basically, Mitzvah is Yud K. Kibeis Oisius Mem Tzadik Mem Mitzvah. The 2 letters of Mem Tzadik from the word Mitzvah. When you use the Adbash system, the Aleph Tov Shin, so then the word Mem Tzadik turned out to be Yud and the K. The base Oisius Vav K the mitzvahs, and then with the 2 other letters of Vav K the word mitzvah. Harehu Shem Avaya. So you have the name of Hashem Yud K Vav K. V'nikra Ramach Evorim the Malko, and that is called. The mitzvahs are called the 248 limbs of the king. That's the 248 positive mitzvahs. Umalko huzo, and Malko, that is the king, that is zo, that's Zerampi. But sometimes we call them mitzvahs hamelach. Mitzvahs hamelach means the melech. That would be the level of the mitzvahs. Because ki mitzvahs hamelech he. Malchus seems to be, here we're saying it's Zod. That's what he explains in the parenthesis now. So what he's saying, sometimes we call them mitzvahs hamelech, not the mitzvah Zod. Zod is higher than Malchus. Sometimes we say mitzvahs come from Malchus. They're mitzvahs hamelech. Ayin bezoyer say parshas Shlach daf kufayin bei hey yomid beis. Mitzvah the Malchus v'toyre bezod. Of this is mitzvahs and Malchus v'toyre bezod. Return to Leimar. So what he means to say, so it turns out that they're Malchus and not Zeirapim. But another Kiramach Evorim Haina Asmi Zo Mamish. Besides the Atz, the Ramach Evorim are the essence of Zo. Mashenkim Pirush Sivu Hamelach, Mashenkim Pirush Sivu Hamelach. But if we interpret that it's the command of Melech, so it's not the essence and the Evorim Mamish. That's the level of mitzvah. So this seems to be a conflict. This is explained differently. So he's explaining us. So what is the Alter Rebbe trying to explain? He's trying to explain where exactly our mitzvahs. Our mitzvahs in Zoh, or mitzvahs in Malchus. Our mitzvahs Evorim, or mitzvahs are just the command of the king. The idea is ki be'emes lamato hu mitzvahs hamelach. Below, it's mitzvah of the king. It's malchus. But the root above, ibchinas evorim de malko. Over there, it's evorim de malko. Ki meish Lukochazoish, taken from the man. The man is Zoh. That's the man, the Ish. I know. Alidei Yisaruso Dilitato Shel Ha'odom Mamshich Liyos HaMitzvah Vorim de Malka. That through the Yisaruso Dilitato of the person, which means his mitzvahs, is a Razvan below. So he makes it Ish Lukochazois, he brings down the level of Ish. From the Isha, you bring down that there should be, the mitzvah should become Evorim de Malka. You make the Evorim the Malka through the level of Isha, bringing down the Ish. Commercial, like for example, Mishenegei B'tzipornei Raglov Shel Odom Margish B'mechulu. How is it that my mitzvahs brings about the Evorim de Malka? It's like, for example, if you would touch the finger, the toenails of a person, and yet it's felt by the moyach. Kach mitzvah gashmis shoyse lemato. When a person does a physical mitzvah below, b'shvil shekach mitzvah melech stam. For this is the mitzvah of the melech stam. Negeya be'oire so baruch hu. Then he touches the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is dressed up in the mitzvahs. Ulahamshich. So you do the physical mitzvah. In that physical mitzvah, you have the Ein Sof, and that brings down the Bechina side of the Arich Ampin, the level on the side of Arich Ampin, but Amach mitzvahs into the 248 mitzvahs, the Amach Evorim de Zoh, the 248 limbs of Zoh, which means the Hashpah comes to the level to Zoh. Sheyiyu heim hamashpim bechinas hamshocha chochmei. So the mitzvahs are the ones that make the flow to bring down the chochmei lo sheshorsh nimsach misayis arich ampin, whose root comes from the hair of arich ampin. That's you bring down. What it means v'hainu sheyimshuch hamizeh habit lamata chulukenal, to bring down the level of bittul subjugation, as we talked before. Dainu liyis eish havaya chulu, that it should be the eish havaya. It should be the eish havaya. Not the mitzvah. The bittul brings down from the arich ampin that it should be the eish havaya, that level included in the eish havaya. So he touches the pasuk. Don't follow your heart. Because when we're talking about already in the world, we're talking about the Isha in Bia. So over there, you have to be careful not to follow after your heart. Because when we talk about Emes B'Atzilus, when we talk about in Atzilus itself, over there is lo yigur chara. There's no evil over there. There's nothing bad. As written in Biur HaPosik, b'midbar Sinai b'el moyed. So over there, we don't need lo yisurach levavchem. Over there, people are inherently, there's nothing to follow. There's only toif. But when we talk about the noiga, hamshochas tevara, comes down to Vera. Even though that in the Noiga, in the Bia, there is also Eses Shvidus, but over there is a mixture of good and bad. You might interchange the flow from good to bad, as he's going to say soon. That sometimes you can get a Yenika from one to the other. Like Klipas Noiga can go down to Rak, and Kedusha can go down. It's going to say now Derech Mashakosu Likutei Torah Shelach. It says over there, Gabi Pirush, he explains there The Gemara, there's a discussion. It says what happens when you have, it says Yarden. That says the person was sitting, the Tana was sitting by the Yarden. He gave an example, the Jordan, the river, he takes from one. In other words, you drop something in the river, it goes down the bank, and it gets to another person, picks it up, it comes somewhere else. So he explains the Arizal. What does that mean? In Avodah, the Hainu Klippas Noiga. So that's the Klippas Noiga. Klippas Noiga, Asher Lepamim Kedusha, Lepamim Klippa. Sometimes it's Kedusha, sometimes it's Klippa, which means Noitlim Mizev and Oislim Lezeh. You can take from the Kedusha to the Klippa, the Kedusha. Besoid Hagneva, this is the secret of the idea of stealing Ashika and Ram and Iska Besov and Mishpat Makan Shena, which mentioned over there. That's the explain. But it's Marsha, they are Noiga, Nimshachainika Magdusha Gam Lora. So it means to say is that through Noiga, you extend the nurturing from the Kedusha also to the bad. Meshkosim is our positive Yichadach Aporo. Umashakosu b'shem Hasova the Mishpotim ubetav Tzadik Yomid Beis. But it says in the name of the Sov, that's in Tzadik Yomid Beis. It's from the Zohar over there. So V'zeu Inyan. So this is the idea of Ashkoas Hasoita Mayim Hamaoririm. Livdok, you give her the bitter water to check. The woman is checked. And then she's clean, then she'll have children. So it means that there is the good and the bad, and you have to separate. You have the boydek, you have to separate the good from the bad, and then you have the nizra zera. You have actually, she has children. It says that she's actually blessed from those. That same water, which check her, and if she does something wrong, she says she would die, but it would, then later on, it would, if she didn't do anything wrong, then it makes of nizra zera. So that means there could be you could have the bittul, but maybe you're also following tivus. So therefore, you have to check it out, and then once you sort it out, then nixu nizra zera. I'm hemna parsha merdaf tzad zayin aleph ubezoyar nosay dav kuf chav daled aleph beis ubeparshas vayichi dav shem aleph beis. Every person is tovera, also has the nefesh habamis, the nefesh halakis, the struggles. So you have to uproot that desire and that excitement of the strange fire. And when you do that, Eish Hashem, what becomes Isha? Pirush Eish Shel Hey. Then you have an Eish from Hey, which means Valderech HaEmes, and the way of the Emes, meaning Kabbalah, by truth is truthfully, Eish Hey is Hey Atzmo B'chinas Eish. That the Hey itself, so it's either we touch the word Isha, Eish Hey, meaning Eish Hashem. The Hey stands for Eish Hashem. Pirush Eish Shel Hashem, it means a fire for Hashem. That means Isha. In other words, if you get rid of all the Eish Zora, then you become the Eish of Hashem. But in truth, there is also Eish Hey. It's not Eish Hashem, but it's Hey Atzmo. A fiery Eish. What does it mean? The fire of the not a fire Eish. The Hey becomes fire. The Hey Gvurus Shel Hanukva Ha'olim L'mayla. You have the 5 level of Gvurus of Malchus. They go up above, they're elevated, umismaskim, and they become sweet. Bam shochas eish yud, when you bring down, through bringing down the eish yud, heim ha-chasodim, those are the chasodim. Veheim hegvurus elyonim, and those are the hey gvuras of the above, supreme, shem chasodim shemilmayla lamata. Those are really chasodim from above to below, because the gvura pushes it down. So that means that it's still a level of chesed to bring it down, but that's the gevuras. So what he's saying is, you become ish hey, that hey gevuras become the hey of the chasodim from lamata. This is what we're saying. So before he used the words, now further it says, Laman tizkiru. Again, you should be in a level of schorim. Shetiyu atava schorim. In other words, we make first the mitzvahs to schorim, and then the mitzvahs that are schorim are mashpia, and they have the eish yud, make you a level, make the makabel a level of schorim. Which means, while the yid is called a makabel, malchus is the recipient, but they become mashpiyim, which means because when you bring up the neiros, which is hey gvuras nukva, so then ishom azras tchila, you let the zochar. When you start off, the zriya starts from the nukva milmata l'maylo, then you give birth to a zochar. It's a leman tisklus. It becomes zochar. V'ayim bezoyer parshas tazriya daf mebeizom Rabbi Yisechulu leis lo bepuma elo yilida dilo ila havidochar. That's exactly. It's only that's a male. He brings them the zohar from there. There's a lie of zochar. Upirish ramashom v'oz oizeres achson chulanshom. And then it helps the chasodim. So basically, the person becomes the mashpia because he becomes a zochar. Instead of being a makabel and a keva, he becomes a mashpia. Because what you do is you're bringing down the amshocha, the heichsodim, through the heigevuras, that you're maila, you're bringing down the heichsodim. So that means that you're the mashpia because you're bringing down the chsodim. I say, for example, a fire below. So you can light the lamp of above. When the flame goes from below to above, so you light the fire. So while you're bringing up, but then you're lighting on the top, so you're being a mashpia. And you back one to the other one till the highest of levels. As mentioned, the Shabbos, when the worlds go up, one world comes close to the other one, and then another world to another world. So in other words, you ignite each world goes up. Till the highest of levels. Why? What does the upper one goes up, so the bottom one goes up, everybody goes up. So all the worlds. So I guess when the flame goes up, everything goes up. So it says, that you make the mitzvah. It means what does it mean you make the mitzvah? It means that you make up the mitzvah to have the power, to have the hamshoch of the arechampin that goes in the mitzvah. That means you make the mitzvah, you make it into a mitzvah, you make up the mitzvah. So that the mitzvah should be a vessel for the Ein Sof. That's done by the Yid. Because Hashem alone, because it's Ein Sof, like the name is, so it can't really come down. Who could make the Ein Sof come down? Ella, Sheneshamos Yisrael, They are the ones that bring down. So, according to this interpretation now, Asisim Kol Mitzvah is basically saying the same thing, that you make the mitzvah into a mitzvah because Matiskuru, you are the Schorim, you bring Mamshech. But he says, Ve'efsher, possibly, Kizo Eid B'china El Yoina Yosef. It could be that it's even a higher level. Not only that you bring down, you make the mitzvah, but it's even a higher level. Mibchinas Uzcharta. It's higher than L'chav Shenemar Tchila, which is said before, Lasesum Schorim. You make that on a higher level. In the beginning, we say, Lemantis Uzcharta. Now it says, Vasisa. You're making them. The Hainu, that is, Masha, through the mitzvah, you arouse Gilui Vahamshochas Evorim the Malka, the revelation and drawing down the 248 limbs of the king, Zodat Silus. Shuanikro Zochar Chazdei. That's the Zochar, that's the Zoh. The Zerampin, that's the male. Zochar Chazdei. Chesed is Zochar, that's the main of the Zoh, is Chesed. So that is when you say Zochar in the man, Uschartem. So the first step we learned before to make the mitzvahs into Zocharim, which means to bring it down into the Ramach Evorim de Malka. But when we say making the mitzvahs, Hainu Amshochas Ein Sof Mamish B'Ramach Evorim de Zoh. So first is to reveal, to make up Zodatzilus. There is making up Zodatzilus, and then is bringing down the light into Zodatzilus. Einam Shochas Eirus of Mamish, B'Ramach Evorim de Zoh, so that you have the Ein Sof in the Zoh. So there's two steps. Leman, means to reveal the level of Zoh. Vasisa means to bring down the Ein Sof into the level of Zoh, into the Evorim Zoh. Over there it says, "Shekol hamitzvos l'saken ramach evorim Zoh." How do all the mitzvahs is we fix the 248 limbs of Zoh? Ayidei hamshochas oirin sof baruchu b'meichel, b'meichel. We're bringing in the level of Meichen, of the Zoh, the Ein Sof. Umekoir HaMeichen, who Lavnunis. What is the source of the Meichen? That is the Lavnunis. Who Oineg v'chefetz alien chula Ein Shom. That's the delight, the desire, Ein Shom. Okay, he adds in the brackets a different angle a little bit, that there's two steps. But the bottom line is, what it does is, it makes up Zodat Silus, it brings down the Ein Sof. That's where the mitzvah is. That brings down, makes them Evorim the Malka. We make up the mitzvahs. Now we understand so then it says, so you'll be Kodesh Leiloi Keichem. Kodesh is B'chinas Sidus. Kodesh has a level of Sidus. So he should be Kodesh, growing his hair wild, the hair of his head. That the Nazir brings down the level of Sidus. Which means the Hainu Shemamshich Mibchina Sidus Arachampin, he brings down from the level of here of Arachampin. Similar to that is when we say Kedoshim, that is the level of Kodesh of Kedusha. That means that we bring down from the level of Arich Ampin. Why do we say Gimel Pamim Kodesh? Is Keneged Gimel Koitzi Desari. That is correspond to the 3 point of the hair. Nida the Tzorich Lemer Apirush. So it says it seems what he thinks what the meaning it means is Keneged Gimel Shemes Havaya Shem Moichem Al Yenim Darech Ampin. We have 3 names of Havaya. This is from the Eitz Chaim. Over there it says, it talks about that there is 3 names of Hashem in Arich Ampin. Those are the 3 Koitzi Desari that correspond. I guess we know there is 18 here because Yud Gimel Tikkunei Dikna, 13 strands of the beard. That's the Gimel Mitzarachamim. So it's 3, and from the 3 comes the 13 Koitzim. So Mehem Nimshcha Yud Gimel Koitzim. So those are the names of Havaya from which it comes 13 Koitzim. Be'elu Nimshacham Irim Bezoh. How do they come down in Zoh? They Koitzi the Sari Darach Ampin Hayerid Machorizoh. They come down through the Koitzi Sarach Ampin, the gates on the back of the Zoh. I guess back of the head. There is some of the hair. Mashikosu Beitz Chaim, calls them Beitz Chaim. Shar Chazor Samida Se Perish Pashigel. And this 3 Shem Keneged Gimel B'chinas B'yasha Batzilus. They correspond to the 3 koitzim, or the 3 levels of Yah, Bri, Yitzira, Sina, in Atzilus. Vem Chabad Chagas Nehi, which is Chabad Chagas, those are the 3 levels. That's Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. V'zeu Gam Ken, Inyan Gimel Koitzim Sheyesh B'tzuras Ois Yud. Also, when we have the shape of a Yud, it has 3 points. Koitza Elyon. It has the top one, Vayud Atzmai. Yud itself, a Koitza Tachna, has a point in the bottom, so it's 3. So that's in the level of Yud itself. I'm a part of Sharid Al Peirik Zion. So through this level of Kodesh, through the Koitzim, Nimshach Liyas Hashem Tzvokis, Liyas Hamshachas HaChayis Ba'olamis, that brings down the Hashem Tzvokis to bring down the Chayis in the world. All through these contractions, through the Cyrus. That's why it says Le'Elokechem, Leksiv La'Havaya. It doesn't say LaHashem. Because Elo Hainu Lebchinas Malchus. Because the level of Malchus B'chinas Yichud Tato. That's the level of the low, means the Bitla Yesh. Koidim U'Mishtachavim. Bowing, kneeling and bowing, Bitla Yesh. Pirush. So what does it mean? Yisuf Kedosh Lekechem. She Yisrael Heima Mamshichim B'chinas Sidus, B'chinas Malchus, that the Yidden draw down the level of Sidus to Malchus. These Bittel can also, there should be the levels of education. The Hainu Shayidei Zeh, Yom Shecha Bittel Gam B'Biyah, Li is Bitla Yesh. Through this, it brings down a Yash, Bitla Yesh. So, Atik Rebonoich Eleboinoich Chulu. Which means you built it because you built it. You built you're not only Bonoich, the recipient, but you built it because you are the one that brings the Amshocha from Zoh to come down to Biyah, that the Bittul should be into the level of Biyah. This finishes this Mamer, right? Yes. Yes. What is interesting, in this case, this Mamer, it looks like the next Mamer is Mamash a Hemshech of this Mamer. A continuation. And even the same oisius, like here, we have. So it's like a Gimel, it's next one. Yeah, exactly. Next one is Dalet. For some reason, I don't know why it happened like that.
Maybe it was 2 days when he is giving it over, and they just divided it into 2.
It's hard to speculate. Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm just suggesting such a complicated Mamer when you try to figure out two ends of the some points in this Mamer.
Yeah.
I would suggest you to give like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, like 5-6 sentences